What up, it's your boy, Dick Incredible Man, and yes, I am back at it again, and this is Lucifer Season 5, Part 1, Episode 6 review. Just incredible. Let's get it, man. This episode gave me everything I wanted, and a bunch of stuff that I didn't know that I wanted or needed in my life when it came to Lucifer itself. Now, this episode was actually a nice toned down episode, but it had so much more in it than I would have expected. We see that this episode starts off as just like a DJ playing in the desert or by a beach or something, and he gets killed. And therein for lies the start of this episode, where we start off our case and we see Ella at the crime scene already, and then Lucifer and Chloe shows up and they start talking about DJs and everything. But this episode led us to one of Chloe's exes, someone she dated prior to Dan, that she broke up with, and he's a DJ, and you know, it's his case. Now, what I loved about this episode is all of the stuff it gave me mixed in while they were solving the case, and how towards the end of the case the revelation was revealed and it tied back into Chloe and Lucifer. And that's what I'm really loving about season 5 so far. Everything, whether it's from the cases or the characters themselves dealing with some things, it always ends up tying back into our main goal that's taking part this season, which is Chloe and Lucifer's relationship. And I loved it. It's always tying back into that, giving both of them some kind of perspective to have out of the relationship. Now, one of my favorite moments about this episode was Dan and Amenadiel's relationship and them having a wonderful moment in the bar, and Dan and Lucifer's relationship while bonding over Jed being Chloe's ex and neither one of them liking him. And then Dan, Amenadiel, and Lucifer just being there around baby Charlie. Now, everything else that took place this episode was great, and I loved it. And I keep finding myself saying that every episode of this season so far because it's such a great season. But Dan, Amenadiel, and Lucifer bonding was the highlight of this episode for me until the end. Like, the very ending of the episode was something within itself. That's something totally different. But Dan, Lucifer, and Amenadiel bonding was fantastic to me. It's because we knew that Dan and Amenadiel had a relationship, and we noticed that since the beginning of season 5 that Lucifer and Dan has building towards a better relationship. But it felt like official to me that Dan has officially become a part of the cast. Sure, he's always been there from the beginning and he's always been around, but he's always been part of the jokes or whatever. But in season 5, it feels like Dan is actually connecting so much, and I love their relationship. Like, I want to touch on the other part, but I want to skip over some stuff just yet. But I love how they're bonding. They ended up bonding over baby Charlie. Amenadiel and Dan ended up bonding over fatherhood, and Dan kind of spitting out his heart to Amenadiel, was like, hey man, you know, I done some stuff, and you know, hey, you may not look at me the same if you knew some of the stuff that I done. And Amenadiel was like, well, you know, I've seen true evil, Dan, and that's not you, man. And their relationship, and like I said, Lucifer's relationship with Dan this season is such a nice thing, man. It's always, to me, Dan always felt like an outcast. Like, he was there and he was a part of everything, but he was always like on the outskirts. And now it feels like he's an actual part of the team. And I guess I can just go ahead and segue that into Lucifer ended up throwing away his phone throughout this episode, and it just disappeared. And at the end of the episode, we see that Michael picked it up. And after this whole wonderful moment that Lucifer, Dan, and Amenadiel had around baby Charlie, Dan was headed home. He's like, you know what? I'm tired, you guys. I'll catch you later. And it ended on such a high note. But Michael picked up Lucifer's phone, called Dan. Dan turned around and saw Lucifer with the devil face. Now, I'm finna go dive into episode 7 for sure. But I wonder how Dan is going to react to seeing Lucifer in devil face form, because this is new to him. Like, him and Ella, they don't know the whole situation. They're still on the outs. But this is new to Dan. And I am super excited to find out how this is going to go, because Dan was terrified when he saw Lucifer's face like that. So, oh man, my mind. Oh, okay. Chloe's relationship with Jed, we learned that like they dated when they were younger, and it was pre-Dan, pre-Trixie, and pre-her before she became a cop. She was just another kid or a teenager or whatever. And Jed still has some unresolved feelings for Chloe, but he's not acting on them because out of respect for her and for Lucifer. But throughout the episode, it's kind of shown that, well, hey, he might act on these emotions a little bit. It seems like he's kind of hinting there. But as it progressed on, and at the very end of the episode, when Chloe saves his life from one of his stalkers, well, from one of his one night stands husbands, she pours out her heart trying to get a message through to this guy, but it's all at the same time revolved around Lucifer, because Jed ended up talking to Lucifer, and Lucifer, he let Jed get into his head, and he just started ignoring Chloe this entire episode because he has jealousy issues, because Lucifer hasn't really dealt with any kind of intimacy like this on this level with Chloe to have this kind of relationship. And so he's a little jealous when Jed comes around, and he ended up listening to Jed so he doesn't lose Chloe. And the wonderful thing that happened was Dan gave him some wonderful advice. Stop listening to everybody else and just go talk to Chloe, man. Just go talk to Chloe. And that happened. And we end the episode on a high note with them. Oh boy, it's such a wonderful thing with Chloe and Lucifer. Finally. We've been waiting 5 seasons, and it's finally here, and it's finally taken place, and I just can't say that I am in love with it. And Lucifer. And it was fantastic, man. But we also see Maze this episode going through some emotions as well, and we see Linda kind of helping her with those until she has to go back and check on baby Charlie. But Maze is kind of feeling, she's been dealing with the whole abandonment and with her mother and everything. So we also see Maze this episode struggling to, take part into everything that's going on. So she decides to copy Ella with the happy-go-lucky, fun, energetic attitude, and hopefully that will let her allow someone into her life, because we all know Maze, we love Maze the way that she is, but she feels like nobody's going to love her that way. So Maze tries to change her image and her look to copy Ella, but it's not really working for her because Ella is going through her whole own identity crisis thing as of late right now, because she wants to date bad boys because she feels like that's what she needs in her life, because she's so fun and happy and energetic all the time in her life. So she feels like she needs something bad, I guess, to even it out. And we also see that Ella ended up helping Maze, and Maze ended up helping Ella at the same time. So by the end of the episode, both of them had pretty much resolved their whole problems, and now they're looking at their life in a new light. And Ella tells Maze, about her soulmate, and Maze was like, well, how can you find a soulmate? How can you find a soulmate if you have no soul? And then I kind of feel bad for Maze, because every time we end on a high note with Maze, we get drugged back down to point zero, to where we have to start all over again, because Maze is dealing with all of these emotions. But I love these emotions that we get coming from Maze. That's just my take. Then we have Linda dealing with her whole thing about baby Charlie, her and the Amenadiel, and both of them are kind of going through it. Like, Charlie will not sleep, and as you can tell from the episode, we noticed that Lucifer's devil face is the only thing that calms Charlie down, but only Amenadiel, Lucifer, and now Dan knows that point. But we see Linda kind of going out and having a fun night with the girls while operating in this thing to kind of give her a free, nice night to relax from taking care of baby Charlie and dealing with all of that stuff. Then we have some comedy throughout the episode, but I love the most wonderful part about this episode that I loved is about Lucifer, Dan, and the Amenadiel's relationship, and the fact that Chloe and Lucifer are finally together. Oh my gosh. Comment down below and let me know what was your favorite part about this episode, because I feel like I love the Chloe and Lucifer being together, but Dan and the Amenadiel and Lucifer's relationship just clicking now and them bonding on different levels, that's the highlight for me. I don't know. That's what I loved. This is your boy Dick Incredible, man. Don't forget to smash the like button until you can't smash it anymore. Comment down below and I'll be sure to respond to each and every one of them, and subscribe, but only if you really want to, man. So, what did you think about the episode? Did you hate it? Did you love it? Did you like it? Comment down below and let me know. Peace out, man.
I ain't taking a backseat, I'm passing anybody else who is rapping, I'm nasty. Ain't nobody able to catch me, they gasping. They cannot compare, they can't match me, I'm at half speed. I